the UK budget from hell. Welcome to Mark and Pete. Here's a thought.
If you are trying to save a pretty penny, the world can seem picturesque, but the ugly truth is you don't have any, because tax is just grotesque. Yes, The UK has entered a new era of higher taxes, folks, and the Institute for Fiscal Studies think tank has said this is going to impact everyone. And when we look at our pockets, yes, they're seemingly very empty. Well, in the autumn statement, the Chancellor announced plans to increase taxes to shore up the public finances and, folks, yes, to provide help for many other expenses, such as energy bills and other things. Now, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, lovely chap, acknowledged that there were going to be very difficult times ahead, no doubt. Well, for some, I guess. But the point here is that people want to have more certainty as to how government is run. I agree. But Clergyman Pete, I ask you, whilst we do have a massive national debt, have the government done the right thing when it comes to this new budget?
Well, just in outline, I think what they've done is reacted to the situation, and increased taxes, tried to make it so that we have a chance of avoiding the worst of recession, but not done anything really to bring us out of recession. I think they need to do something bigger, more decisive, possibly more unpopular. And I don't mean what Liz Truss did when she was Prime Minister. I'm talking about something else, which we've mentioned on Mark and Pete before. But they what they've done is, this is my belief in this. I don't know what as a businessman you would say, but I would say that they've missed the elephant in the room. And not that the elephants in rooms are mentioned in the Bible, but I think that what is mentioned in the Bible is the importance of being prudent with your money. In fact, Jesus mentioned money famously in the New Testament more than he did love. Yes, you can go and check that up. He thought that handling money carefully was very important. And I think they've missed something. And I'll say, just without going into detail, I'll just say what it is. I believe that a big mistake that they've made is to continue with sanctions on Russia, which is stymieing trade, making fuel prices increase. They need to break from being the lapdog to America in this, in siding with Ukraine as a proxy war with Russia. They need to stop then supporting Ukraine in terms of, they can do it politically, but not in terms of giving them huge swaths of cash.
Yeah.
And then they can be friendly with Russia, trade with the rest of the world, and they would then have a chance of coming out of the recession a lot quicker. That would actually make a difference. The other measures they take, to be honest, I think it means that we're going to be, as Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor himself said, it means that we are going to still go through hard times.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, I must admit that the story gets worse, because what it means is that the budget was an amount to be around £25 billion in tax rises. Now, this is over a period of time, folks, so don't worry, it's not coming out on your next paycheck. Well, although that might solve the problem. But the fact is that there's a series of them. The tax thresholds being frozen until April 2028, meaning millions will pay more tax. The top 45% additional rate of income tax, starting with people earning over 125,000 instead of 150. Now, here's the other thing: the local councils in England being allowed to raise council tax by 5% a year without a local vote, instead of the 3% that it was currently projecting. So what you're seeing is tax from all sides, folks. Yes, now, Clergyman Pete, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Now, what does this mean for people? So how thresholds, freezes and reductions will affect most taxpayers by 2023 to 2024? Okay, so this is the extra income tax and national insurance that you will pay, folks, in the year, and it will depend on which tax bandwidth that you're in. So one thing that I should say that this all assumes a pay rise of 7.4%. Now, I'm sure that this is the thing that a lot of people are laughing at, because I'd like to park that subject on the impact on business. Basic rate, £298. Higher rate, £670. The additional rate, because this covers many different things, is £761. But this is the thing that does slightly concern me. This assumes that pay rises are on the up.
Yes.
That is not the case. Why, folks? Well, we know. And guess what? You'll look out for the future episodes, because people will be on strike during Christmas on many, many different industries. The challenge is this. Inflation is very high. Many people will not get that level of increase in their pay packets going into 2023, 2024, or beyond. And this is the thing that concerns me. So you asked me what it means from a business perspective. I can see that this is going to happen. Businesses of all sizes are going to be under pressure. Now, the big corporate companies, I think, can absorb a certain amount. But even the big corporate companies, we've seen the tech companies shed lots of staff in recent times. Look at Twitter, look at Facebook and many others, let alone others that we could keep on mentioning. So even the big companies that typically have earned billions of dollars a year are having to make major cutbacks. The bit that I worry for is the small businesses to medium-sized businesses that just simply don't have the margins of the cash to up-level their pay packets. And their payrolls are already running at tight levels. So the pain means that there is going to have to just be sustainable for those individuals who are earning an honest crust, folks, albeit that it's now crumbs instead of just the crust. And that's the thing that worries me, because I think the businesses will suffer. They will lose staff. More people will change jobs purely on the basis of just earning more money. And here's the other thing. I think they're not going to get the best out of their staff. There are situations that we're seeing, and this is the thing that does worry me again from a business point of view, that there's been lots of studies on this, but many individuals are having to take a second or a third, and dare I say even more jobs, to actually make ends meet, meaning that they have to pay their bills, they have to pay for their food, pay for heating, and many other things. That's a worrying scenario. And I think that a lot of business people will be looking at this thinking, hold on, we can look at it at a surface level of what it means to individuals, because we all do when we look at our pay packets given at the end of the month. But what does it mean long term? And I think that what you'll see next year is a shake-up in the workforce, because I think that this is where the small to medium-sized businesses will struggle. So, look out for that.
Yeah. Now, looking at how does this impact people, local communities across the UK? Well, they're going to struggle as well. As you were saying, the tax are going up at a time when prices are going up, at a time when there's a real issue with supply chains of food and fuel. That's not looking good going into the winter. And so my churches are providing a warm hub, and there are grants available from the government. They've already been given out and allocated. So some churches and other community spaces are being opened up over the winter months. Not really a solution, and not something you expect in Britain. It's the sort of thing you might expect to be happening in a third world country, that you have to open up buildings because people cannot afford to heat their own homes. Yeah, and we'll also have food available. That's the sort of level that we're going to be seeing people suffering this winter.
Here is where the long-term projections. So the Institute of Fiscal Studies have said, coming back to my point, is that the analysis has shown that they have found that ordinary households will be 30% worse off by 2028 had the incomes continued to grow as they were projected originally before the 2008 financial crisis. So remember, we've had lots of crises, folks, as we all know.
We love them.
We're going through another one. But the previous, what was called the big financial crisis of 2008, that sort of time, was obviously dramatic. It affected everybody in different ways. This one is on a different scale, because what they're saying here is that the projections of impact to those people at the lower end of the earning scale are going to be hit harder, partly because of the costs, partly because of the lack of income, and partly because of obviously inflation. So I think really it's interesting that they continued and actually said that the Chancellor's economic plans would add more pressure on the squeeze middle, so those who face a permanent, what they called 3.7% hit to their incomes, which is bigger than the very richest. So yet again, folks, it's let's not worry too much, because the very, very rich will be okay. And I'm sure that.
Well, thank goodness for that. I was so concerned for them.
You were worried. I know you were.
So that's it. We're not holding out much cheer and the solutions that are possible, at least theoretically, are not possible politically. And so whatever the government did, whatever decisions they made, were not going to stop us going through difficult times coming up. So we need to band together, we need to help each other, we need to watch out for those who are suffering. We should be doing that anyway, but especially during this difficult time. Let us know what you think in the comments, and please remember to like and subscribe. But before you go, here's a final thought.
The Chancellor sharpens his fiscal axe to cut your income by the way of tax. But be aware and watch your backs. He'll swipe for more with repeated hacks.